Hello everybody and welcome to my review of One Piece chapter 1018, the fight that's focused on the Who's Who versus Jinbei fight. And given what we found out in the previous chapter, it's kind of perfect timing. And we do find a little bit more about the Guma Guma no Mi, and Oda decides to focus a portion of this chapter on the Who's Who versus Jinbei fight, which is cool. And I feel like this could be a trend of where we go from here, because we could follow Sasaki and Frankie next. And I say that because, as I pointed out previously, Oda has not shown a lick of Black Maria versus Nico Robin, and I feel like that's done on purpose because something big's going to happen there. I got a gut feeling. So speaking of Toby Robo, we got page 1 and Ulti on the cover page with some toy plushies in the background, and I feel like this could be a way of them marketing for an Ulti plushie toy or page 1 Ulti toy but before the end of the year. It's cool, and it kind of makes me wonder what's going to happen with them by the end of Wano, because I don't see them sticking around just because, well, for one, Ulti is already a popular character. So you can see her hanging around in the stories somewhat after Wano, so we'll have to wait and see. We start off the chapter with, I guess, other headliners, 300 apparently, that switch in size and with gifted powers that are going out, taking out Kaido's subordinates. On Nami, Usopp, and Atama make the break for it. Atama's still being targeted because somebody points out if we take her out, maybe the effect of a Kibidongo will wear off, which is probably true. She's way too much of a plot device to be killed, so that's not going to happen. Before they're about to be attacked, and I'm kind of disappointed that Usopp didn't try to do something on Nami, especially with Nami having Zeus. Like, she could have attacked with a climb attack, but here comes Daifugo. He attacks with a Scorpion Death Needle, which is pretty cool. So he helps out. You got Speeders there to give the trio a lift. The fact that Nami is the one hitching around, grabbing hold of her chest, I think that's a reference to what Luffy did back in Act 1. So I thought that's kind of interesting. And you also have Batman there to help out. So finally, Batman's on the right side. So they make a break for it. We actually get an interesting character moment. It's kind of comedic, but at the same time it's actually kind of a genuine moment because this is still head over heels with Nami, so he wants to be forgiven, so he's asking, hey, can I be your servant again? And Nami's like, no, are you serious? No way, we can be partners instead. And I feel like that's such an interesting character moment for Nami, but it's also like Nami's gonna have to get a hold of that anyway, so she doesn't really have a choice. Zeus said to free himself from the climb attack, it requires Big Mom. So I don't know how she's going to pull that off. And if we go to Cypher Pole, and they're bringing up the whole point about the numbers. So from where we left off, it looks like 10,000 of Kaido's headliners switched sides because it jumped from 30,000 to 20,000. So the total now is 16,000 from Kaido's side to 9,000 from Luffy's side, or the Alliance side. And I feel like that could increase. I feel like I may end up being even by the end. If this Wano act ends, I feel like the size could be even because I don't think that's going to be the end of it. Way too much track on the numbers. So it could either switch back in favor of Kaido, or it could go with even by the end of the act. But we actually get some interesting info about why Cypher Pole is still around. Is because they want to confirm that the death of somebody, and we found out that it's Who's Who, which ties right back into what we found out in the previous chapter about Who's Who. He's a member of Cypher Pole at one point working in the shadows. They say, oh, he's facing Jinbei anyway, which kind of is a reference, like, they hyping up Jinbei, so it's like, yeah, Jinbei should be more than enough to take care of Who's Who, so we don't have to get our hands dirty here. Remember, Orochi wanted Cypher Pole to bring in Vegapunk, so that's why I'm assuming that's why he requested them to come to Wano, but we don't really know the reason why they accepted to go there. Because of the slip-up that he made 12 years ago, losing the Gama Gama no Mi. But there's also another reason why the world government want him dead, apparently. So Who's like using Moonwalk. He's using the 6 powers, plus the 7th, because obviously he was using the Fang Pistol. So that's pretty cool. Jinbei's like, for the most part, he's fending him off. And Jinbei's asking, like, Who's Who, like, oh, so your grudges with Luffy. And we actually get more information of what went down. So Who's Who says, no, my issue is the one who stole the Gama Gama no Mi, Redhead Shanks. So I was right, because how did Shanks end up with the Guma Guma no Mi in the first place? So I figured Shanks was the one that stole it, because why else would he have it? But we just don't know why. So the government no Mi was valuable to the world government, very valuable. So that's why Who's Who got locked up. He got punished. We actually see more attacks from Who's Who, like he's using multiple fang pistols this time. You see Jinbei, even when he's using armor and haki, he's like bleeding, so he's actually dodging. But you also see the fang pistols that are actually nailing the underlings of Who's Who's, like, so they're not even safe either. Like, again, fights like this, and I can't wait to see what they look like in the anime, because I feel like even though if they are stretched out, the animation is more than going to make up for it. Jinbei dodges the attack, and obviously Haki was there. So, and then Who's Who tries to mock Jinbei about being a fisherman, so, oh, you're on dry land. That's the first thing that pisses him off. To get serious, Who's Who actually attacks again. He speed blitzes. Jinbei with armor and Haki uses Fang Cavalry Flash, blocking Who's Who. And I actually like this attack for two reasons. One, Jinbei uses a judo move or karate move to like throw Who's Who away. But the other thing is like Who's Who's like using armor and Haki on his teeth. I don't think we've ever seen that before. We know it can be used on weapons, but that's actually pretty cool. Jinbei uses Fishman Jujutsu to like throw him off. Then he follows that up with water bullets. Who's Who dodges by using Shave, and Who's Who wanted to ask Jinbei a question since he was also in Impel Down, and now we know he was locked up in Impel Down because it's confirmed. So Who's Who brings up another interesting point, and it could be a reference to another character Oda may show us at some point. So according to Who's Who, I was mockingly told to pray to someone for salvation. So apparently slaves in ancient times believed in a legendary warrior that could eventually come and save them. They called him sun god Nika. Kind of brushed off as just being a fairy tale or myth. That had to originate from somewhere. And because he heard about this and clung on to this legend, he actually wanted to escape Impel Down. This is where it relates to Jinbei. So this becomes even more personal now because obviously the Sun Pirates were members of that, I guess, those who were oppressed by the government and been treated as slaves. That's why I wanted to ask Jinbei the question, but he doesn't really answer it. And then Who's Who uses a finger pistol. And then this is the second thing that actually ticks off Jinbei to get serious. And also the shading on Jinbei's face when he gets serious is crazy because he's taking the spot. He's taking multiple spots, He's taking multiple shots from Who's Who. He's blocking without haki, and he's still tagging the hits. Apparently, there's a god that told him about the legend of Nika, and then the god vanished without a trace because I guess it was. So apparently, that guy was taken out because obviously the world government didn't want that public knowledge for whatever reason. So I feel like this could be an enemy related to who went against Imu-sama, maybe, because why else would that god be vanished without a trace? So, and hearing that put him even more danger because it made him even more. So he risked his life to escape, and it looks like what this is telling us is Who's Who managed to escape Impel Down, because if he was locked up, how did he get out of there? Maybe it had something to do with Kaido breaking him out, and that's the reason why he's a member of Toby Rebel. We don't know, but obviously he wasn't Impel Down, and now he's in Wano. So you could chalk that out to him escaping, but then Sengoku said there was only one other person besides Luffy that ever escaped Impel Down, and that was Shiki. Maybe Oda didn't think of that at the time, or Sengoku just didn't say it because obviously he did not want that out, no matter what. Because that was even worse. And Jinbei fires back, and then actually dislocates Who's Who's finger, so he can't shoot anymore. That's actually pretty smart. Sends him back. He grabs a hold of his wrist with Fishman Karate, sharp grip. And Jinbei's like, I have nothing to say to you. And then Who's Who fires back with another Fang pistol. And then Jinbei brings out the heavy artillery with Fishman Karate, the ultimate technique. Before that, he's like giving a speech to like Who's Who's like, and Who's Who's like, why are you mad all of a sudden? And Jinbei's like, if you're going to make broad statements about other people's history, you better not be half-assed about it. Follows up with a gargoyle tail fist and just blows him back. Now, I find it interesting that Oda doesn't show Who's Who's face, so we can't really make the claim of whether or not he was KO, because the moment you see his eyes, even though his eyes are white anyway, people are just going to make that distinction anyway. I don't think this is the end of the fight, just because if there is going to be another act in Wano, this fight ended way too soon, especially with the hype with Who's Who. If this is in his hybrid form, or that could be a testament to how strong Jinbei is when he goes all out. And I feel like a pretty good indicator of where Jinbei lies power scaling post Wano, because as of right now, I think we can all agree the general consensus is so Luffy and Zoro are number 1 and 2. And then you can make the claim that Jinbei's number 3. But again, that's pretty vague considering we're kind of underestimating Sanji here. So I feel like this fight and the fight with Sanji and Queen could give us a pretty good indicator. Now, I'm not one who focuses too much on power scaling, but it'll give us a pretty good indicator where the monster trio will fare and where it ranks up by the end of the Wano. This could be a case of where Who's Who gets back up and actually pushes Jinbei even further, which may happen. And considering there's a break next week, I wouldn't be surprised why Oda decided to have Queen be the first of the Calamities to actually reveal his hybrid form. We haven't seen Kings and we haven't seen Jax yet, which I find interesting. What about happens with Jinbei and Who's Who? The scale has to be upped when it comes to like Sanji versus Queen. I feel that could be where Oda's going with that, and why he had decided to have Queen go in his hybrid form this soon when the fight's only just started. Or it's going to be a case of where Queen just got pissed off and I said, you know what, your judge's brat, I'm going all out. So I think that's interesting. Also, I find it very interesting that this chapter focuses primarily on Jinbei fighting as a Straw Hat member against the Tubby Robo. And we literally just got in the anime Jinbei showing up on Wano. He's about to be interacting with the rest of the crew. So yeah. So I just felt like the time is perfect. So I'm wondering if Who's going to find a way to escape Wano by the end of this, because I don't think he's going to be killed off, at least not yet. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that, whether or not Who's actually makes it out of Wano alive. But also find it interesting, now we know Shanks 100% stole the Gummy for whatever reason. We don't know why, but we do know is like 6 years ago he's appointed a Yonko, and now he has more pull that he did not have back then, or at least we figure he didn't have back then. And we also have an introduction of Sun God Nikki. So this could be just a red herring, but Oda's not going to bring that up if it's not going to be addressed later on or again in the story. Oda's not going to do that. There's no point. The same thing here with the Gumma no Mi. So Oda decided to bring up the mystique of the Gumma no Mi in the previous chapter and kind of give us a little more details about it in this chapter. So, but Oda decided to do that for a reason in Wano. And I feel like the only thing that makes sense right now is because by the end, or if not before the end of Wano, we're going to find out what Shanks is doing. And by the time Shanks and Luffy meet up again, we're going to have the real reason as to why Shanks stole that devil fruit. Maybe it has something to do with Blackbeard. We don't know. The fight with Jinbei and Who's Who is pretty much in full effect now, unless this fight's over, which would be disappointing. I guess we're going to see what Who's really capable of, and we're going to find out in 2 weeks whether or not the fight's actually over with. I don't think so. It's because it would be way too soon. Let me know what you guys think down below. That's going to do it for you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Like the review if you did it. Thumbs up. I appreciate that. Subscribe to for more One Piece. Catch you guys later. Thanks, guys. Bye.